My sister, I think she quit her job in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. She quit first, and then I quit later. A very well cush paying job. I was getting a good salary. I was paying my bills. I was happy. And then I thought I was smart. And then any job that you actually get, it's a build up onto the foundation of becoming an entrepreneur, if that's what you want. And more than that as well, these things help because you learn how to be responsible, you learn how to plan, you learn how to manage relationships, and you understand that it's not even sometimes about your skills, it's about relationships. And the only way you can learn that is when you're interacting with other people in a professional environment. I don't want a brand that's like, oh, Siyazama type of brand, you know, like, oh, shame, oh, they're black. You know, I don't want that at all.
ESD.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm tired of those things. Not to sound arrogant or anything like that. I want to compete on a global scale. Like, I want to compete with the likes of Coca-Cola, you know, the likes
What's
of
stopping
Apple.
you?
Yes, that's about it.
Hi, Rhulani. It's so
Hi.
cool to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here. It's always good to catch up with you, Miles.
Indeed, it's been a
Yeah.
journey, right?
Yes, it has been. It's been wild and exciting.
Entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
Now, I know a big chunk of that journey, you know, and
Yeah.
I've had the pleasure to see you grow in it. But I think for our viewers, maybe let's take a step back and just maybe, you know, explain to everybody who you are.
Yeah.
Where did it all start, actually?
So, my goodness, where do I start? It's such a long story because it's a legacy, right?
Yeah.
That we just want to continue for my mom. So, my mom started the business about 20 years ago, literally just to help support her kids, her daughters. She needed to pay school fees. And there she is. She went to like some baking class and then she started manufacturing these biscuits. But because of the aroma around the neighborhood, people were like, please just give us a little bits and pieces of whatever is burnt or cracked, you know, because she would make special orders. And from there on, people started coming in and buying from my mom at home. And we were just at home, things on my KKK, you know. And we went on to go to varsity with my sister. We worked in different places. And I think for me, my last job was at a very well-established multinational company. It's an oil company. And I realized that, you know what, my mom, she's now starting to get a little bit frail as well. You know, this thing is like, it's taking on and it's not dying no matter what happens.
And it took you through school. I mean, it
Took
paid
us
for
through
all your
school.
fees at university.
Literally, sometimes it couldn't, but sometimes we had to chip in. But yeah, it was just a business that was not going away. And I was like, I think there's something here, you know, with my sister. I was like, sis, let's just make sure that we structure this business properly. Let's just incorporate it. So we incorporated the business in 2017. My sister and I were still working. And my sister, I think she quit her job in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. She quit first, and then I quit later. A very well cush paying job. I was getting a good salary. I was paying my bills. I was happy. And then I thought I was smart. And then,
And then baptism of fire.
snap.
But before we
Yeah.
get to the business side, I'm still most interested in, you know, the early days. Like
Yeah.
when your mom started, firstly, did she have a love for baking or cooking in general? Was
Yeah.
it something that and then also the fact that she went to study it,
Yeah.
that tells you a lot about her.
Well, basically, my mom is a businesswoman through and through. Let me just say she's a hustler because she's been going through many businesses, you know, prior to this one. At some point, she was selling a jumble sale, you know, and like she was making serious cash there. And at some point, she was selling meat on the train, you know, back when we were young. She's always been in like one type of business, you know, but then this one is the one that where she just stuck on. And she couldn't let it go at all. So we would chip in sometimes, give her money to stock. Maybe a month would go by without people buying, but maybe one time someone comes, hey, ngicela ibhakede, you know. And I was like, no, man, this thing actually has feet. Let's just structure it, corporatize it so that,
But before then,
yeah.
like, did you know you had an entrepreneurial bone in your body? I mean, for you to even you and your sister to get to a point where you leave your jobs
Yeah.
to do this, where was that entrepreneurial part? Was it because you just grew up watching your mom,
Yeah.
or where was it?
Yeah. It was born out of that. Just seeing her make money, be able to support us, take care of us by through businesses, I think for me, it hit me when I was around 16. I started selling, those Lane perfumes and stuff like that in school. So for me, that's when it started. I was like, I can actually become an entrepreneur. So when I started working professionally, I did even say that I'm just going to be here for like 10 years.
So you knew?
I knew. I was like 10 years. But in my 9th year, that's when I was like, I think I'm ready to just jump into it. So I knew that I'm going to end up being an entrepreneur through and through because it's what we know. Because also my grandparents and my great-grandparents were entrepreneurs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So when you said you're a legacy, you mean that
Yeah.
literally in every sense of the
In
word?
every sense of the word. I always, like my grandmother used to sell chickens and furniture, around the hood as well. At some point, she was also a mistress, so she'd been queen at some point,
That's
So
a good business.
it's a good business. So would always pick up my 2 bob and my 50 cents when we were growing up in between the couches. So I grew up around an environment of business. Though it was informal, but I thought it's now time to make it like formal for us. So
I always ask my guests this. Maybe it's like partly a side gig for me. I'm doing research for my book.
Yeah.
Do you think entrepreneurs are born or are they made?
Well, I think it's two ways. You can also be made to be an entrepreneur because you need to survive. Maybe it calls for that during that time. And also, like, you can be born. There's some people that can never be able to be in an environment where, like, they're working for someone. They just, like, entrepreneurial like that. From a young age, they're selling sweets or they're buttering. So it's two ways. Either you are forced to be an entrepreneur through your situation or, it just happens.
And then when you make it to corporate, in this case, and you knew that you were an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
but you still thought, I want to do corporate. Why?
I just needed to structure myself, get myself, become more professional. Another part, I needed to make sure I survive because I don't come from, obviously, like a wealthy family, so I needed to actually get a job because I needed to help out at home. So it's also, that job was for survival as well, so I had to make sure it's two things. I had to survive, and then another thing, I had to make sure that I learned the ropes of what a corporate company is actually managed and run.
Do you think that was a good move in hindsight with what you know now?
Like that, I mean, I will forever be grateful to those
Right?
people.
Like I tell anybody who would
Forever be
listen that
grateful.
do a stint in corporate, right?
Dude, just go there. Like, no matter what type of job. Because my very first job, I think my very first professional job, I was a recruitment consultant in office support. And office support's about, like, secretaries or administrators. And, like, this taught us a lot of soft skills, how to handle yourself in meetings, being on time, planning your days and your weeks and stuff like that. And then when I got, I mean, if I can mention the name of the company,
Yeah,
it's
BP.
BP. Yeah, BP Southern Africa. When I got there, it was like, now it's a big corporate company. How do we, handle ourselves professionally? How do you do accounting? How do you do HR? How do you do, sales, operations, the entire value chain? I had to go through that, and I've come full circle because now I'm also a supplier,
Yeah.
for BP as
Oh,
well.
wow.
Yeah, we're a supplier for BP. We got the contract in July.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
Lenana,
you.
like,
Thank you.
shine, pa 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 pa.
Thank you.
Yeah, we
So-
need to
so-
get that pa 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 sound. Like,
yeah,
I'm
we
just
have
saying.
to.
Yeah,
Please,
yeah,
come on.
okay.
Like we
Not too self.
we there. We
Yeah.
there. So I think for me, Miles, if I can just say to anybody, whatever experience, even if it's a shop, you're working in retail or you're working any job that you actually get, it's a build up onto the foundation of becoming an entrepreneur, if that's what you want. And more than that as well, these things help because you learn how to be responsible, you learn how to plan, you learn how to manage relationships, and you understand that it's not even sometimes about your skills, it's about relationships. And the only way you can learn that is when you're interacting with other people in a professional environment. We wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for that, if I did not go through that at BP. So, yeah.
Sorry, I just need to switch off my phone.
Cool.
Cool.
Understood.
It's one thing to work for a corporate. It's another to work for a multinational. I think for me, that's the part that I honestly wish I could take a lot of people or entrepreneurs and say, come and see. Because once they see where the bar is, particularly in a multinational, it changes you. You can't unsee
Completely.
what you've seen, right?
Yeah.
In terms of
Yeah.
the levels that there are
Yeah.
that you should be playing at.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, do you find that to be true?
Oh my goodness. 1,000%. I wouldn't have the confidence to say I can be we can be an international recognized brand or we can go global if it wasn't for that.
In fact, that's how you started the session. You said we've removed
Conzas
Soweto.
Soweto. Now, like, I mean, yes, Soweto is our heritage. It's cool. I mean, but like we can go anywhere. And it's because there were no borders whilst I was working in that multinational company. It made me see, it gave me a bird's eye view onto how these big companies actually operate. And it is quite complex. It's quite different, but at the very same time, it's quite the same. Whether you're working for Vodacom or you're working for BP or you're working for Microsoft, like the principles are quite the same, but like
it's a scale that's different.
Exactly, but it gives you a bird's eye view onto the world, and you can be able to actually perform at that scale.
But that must have been really scary from you leaving a big multinational selling petrochemicals around the world, to going selling biscuits. I mean, that's a culture shock of note, I'm sure. One, two.
Yeah.
Like when you told significant others or whomever, like, hey, bruh, I'm going, because I can say this because I left multinationals to go sell Borobos rolls. So how was your journey in telling people?
Like it was more of like, we were saying some keke, we were saying some, dude, you're an executive. Why? I remember this one person, set me in an office like, why? Like, do you know how many people fail in this thing that you're doing? We were saying some keke. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to take my chances. So it was very, very, very scary. I'm not going to lie. But at that point, I just knew I had to do it. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. So I had to take the jump. I'm one person who's very gutso about things. I like challenges, literally, as cliche as it sounds, but I can adapt very quickly and I like taking risks. Sometimes I do get burned, but I'm glad I actually took that risk because it was scary. I got into deep trouble financially. I'm not even going to lie. The first 6 months, I was like, what the hell did I just do or get myself into? Excuse me. I'm at debit order. They were bouncing. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to make it? Where's our money? But soon
in fact,
enough.
I can mention that story.
Yeah.
I remember a certain bank that shall remain nameless took us to we were the first cohort that they took us overseas to go see how startup countries work, whatever. So it was amazing, and as an entrepreneur you don't get a break, right? So this was my first sort of time off, I guess. So we go there and we see all these things and they do, the country's doing amazing in terms of entrepreneurship and everything. So we come back, they say, yeah, okay, cool. I don't know, they picked me to come and present back to the organization, to the bank, and they'd invited the CEO and the chair of the board of that bank. Oof. So there I am, on stage giving them feedback, and my colleagues are all sitting there, and I'm busy. I'm waxing lyrical about how it was amazing.
Yeah.
Meantime, my debit orders from that bank, from the very same bank. The CEO.
Oh my goodness. Your anxiety. Oh gosh. What am I gonna say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's real.
For me, I even say to people, you have to go through that. There's nothing even embarrassing about that. Mm-hmm. It teaches you to adapt. It teaches you to learn how to swim. Mm. You become a completely different person. You become more and more fearless. You're not afraid.
And your relationship with money changes, right?
Your relationship with money changes, especially if you have to work hard for that money. If you knew that, I did not sleep. I had to do certain things in order for me to get this money. Like I had to even get my hands dirty to sometimes I would bake myself, even though, I don't know how to. But once you know that you actually earned that money, you respect the money. And also you respect yourself. You also respect the customer as well. You learn how to price your items properly. you learn to value yourself because you know that you have to work hard for that money.
But you also have an interesting dynamic in that you work with your family.
Yeah.
And it's a legacy business.
Yes.
So there's a
Yeah.
lot more weight.
Yes.
But you work with your sister and it's technically your mom's
Yeah.
business. I suppose it's all your business now.
Yeah.
But how is that?
Yeah. I think for the mere fact that it's the two of us, and the age gap between my sister and I is like literally 2 years, and we were close from a very young age. I think that actually helped.
But this kind of thing can break a relationship.
It actually can. I think in the early stages, we were like, oh, okay. And then once the business started growing, we were like, okay, now we have to actually learn how to separate between family and business. We literally had to, all of us as a family, sit down and say, when it's business, it's not even personal or anything like that. So even our relationship even grew. The respect as well became even more, because we understood that this is your role, this is your area of focus, this is your role, is your area of focus. We have to respect each other's boundaries. So even back at home, our relationships even got even better. So I can say for us, maybe we were kind of lucky, because I know these like family businesses can either make you or they can either break you. But I think what we knew was that this is actually bigger than us. It's not even about us. It's a
And the fact that maybe you had the corporate background sort of helped you to know that there's titles and boundaries and
100%.
you need to let people do what they are good at.
Yeah. So that came out very quickly between my sister and I, who you focus on this and I focus on this. And mom still, she's still in the business. Like every day she's there. We have to report back to her to say, okay, this morning or yesterday, this is what actually happened. So we had to even learn new habits as well of just keeping a rhythm going, like keeping diaries going. So for the mere fact that I went to corporate and the fact that my sister understood more about operations, it actually helped because the roles were clear from the onset.
Where's your dad?
My dad is late.
Oh.
My real dad is late. And then my stepdad is around. Yeah, so...
But it's the three ladies who are fully involved in this.
It's literally us, nobody else. My dad comes through here and there, but he's not into this. It's like, ladies, just do your own thing. You know what I'm saying?
And speaking of which, being generational, so one day when you have your own kids, would you want them to be involved in this?
1,000%.
Really?
1,000%. I think for me, one thing sometimes that we suffer from as Black people is lack of planning. Like as I'm sitting here, it's a Monday today. Most of us don't even know what we're going to do on Saturday. Some of us don't even know what we're going to do in 5 years' time. This business actually taught me to actually have plans, firm plans that are actually going to outlive me, build a legacy and take it seriously. I think if it's not Canon, it's Mitsubishi. They've got 300-year plans in their business. So they're definitely going to be around for a very long time. I want to make sure that this business outlives many, many, many generations for me. That's how deep it is,
I was chatting to my team the other day. That it's, they call entrepreneurs visionaries.
Yeah.
And I always hated that term because it makes you sound like it's...
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know.
It's like, Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is you have to be visionary. You have to see the future where no one else can.
Yeah.
But you need to see it in such detail.
Yeah.
Because by so doing, you're almost manifesting that future you want to see, right? What's your thoughts about that?
I was actually going to mention this. Something magical happened to me actually this year in Feb. So there's one thing that I do where you actually help me to get, this is action coaching.
Yeah.
I do that. I attend those sessions and they taught us how to plan. So they got us a chart to plan every quarter. Yes, you can have like a plan, like a lifetime plan, but you have to break it down into chunks. So 11 years, 5 years, 3 years, a year, a quarter, a week, a day, a minute, a second. So the minute so they gave us like a chart, right? It's like a quarterly chart. Every week there's certain things that you need to do. So you need to have 3 business plans and maybe like 2 personal like projects or personal plans that you're going to focus on that quarter. And every week you need to build up towards getting that final result. And you take that, you multiply it 2 or 3 years, 2 or 5 years, and so on and so forth. As soon as you make an agreement within yourself and you write it down and you place it there on the wall, something magical actually happens. It's like you're making an agreement with the universe of some sort. Like, oh my goodness.
It is so true. I keep telling people, no one listens.
Goosebumps talking about that.
Because it
Just
works,
get it,
right?
get
It's
it
like
on
you are
paper.
willing the universe to your dream.
Spell. It's a spell. Literally, like you're like literally spelling. And
sometimes it takes long because I guess it's the universe has to rejig itself.
Conspire for you. You know, something cannot happen now. They have to happen later, and you understand when they happen. Oh, I had to wait for this to actually happen.
Because these other things had to happen before.
It's crazy. Believe what they say. It sounds cliche. Write it down. Make a decision. Write it down. And you need to be firm, have conviction, almost to a point where you have to be entitled to it, to say, this is my birthright. If you want to be a millionaire, tell yourself that I'm going to make my million by the 18th of February 2026.
Yes.
I'm going to be a millionaire. Trust me, you'll see what actually will happen.
In fact, I would just maybe alter it a little bit, because for me, things like money and stuff often are a byproduct.
Yeah.
So you almost want to say, in taking the exact same analogy, you almost want to say, in 2027, on the 8th of August, whatever that vision or dream, and you must be crystal clear about it, right? Because it's going to be different for different people.
Yeah.
And you put it there, you line it, like, this is me. And you must see yourself.
I keep saying as well, you have to remember it.
Yeah.
If you remember it, it means it actually happened. So you can internalize it, like work in reverse.
Yes.
I can go on for days about this. I can go on and tell you the depths and the research that I've done on this. That's how other people are doing it. That's how you find your Johnson & Johnson still being here till today, you know. And I needed that for us Black people. It's not about wanting to be like, oh, I'm a Black person doing that. I think you actually told me to say, it's not about even being Black. It's about having a freaking good product and having a freaking good company that will outlive, because we need to do that as Black people. That's how we're going to be that's how we're going to be emancipated, I think. You know, that's where your freedom comes in. Your freedom comes in you owning your time and owning yourself and making sure that you take yourself so serious. And once you do that, you realize that time is so short.
And that's why when you quit corporate and you start your own business, and it takes time, but invariably everybody I've met who've left corporate, the first thing they say is, damn it, I wish I'd done it earlier. Right? Because you get to see. But secondly, you know, you raise an important part, especially when you started with saying it's legacy. We need to tell our own stories. I think that is important for 2 reasons. It's important for yourself, right? But it's also important for others who are watching your success, your story, right? So we need to create businesses that are successful. Even if they're not, we learn from their failures. But ultimately, we want great stories. And one of the reasons we do this podcast is to unearth great stories, right? And then you build great teams, and then ultimately you've got demonstrable evidence, right?
Yes.
Now, coming to a great story, which you clearly have, is your mom, for our viewers who don't know. So your business is a biscuit business. Maybe tell us a little bit more what you actually do.
Okay. Yeah. So we manufacture vanilla biscuits and we package them in different sizes. We decided to merely only focus on biscuits. We don't do scones, we don't do cakes, we don't do anything. Biscuit. We perfected that business, or we perfected that product, because we also realized that there's a little bit of a gap in a company owning that space. Right now, if you go to supermarkets or you go into like stores, yes, you will find biscuits. Mostly you'll find biscuits that have been manufactured in a factory, but the home style biscuit, no one owns it to say we are the champions of this
Why
product.
Is that?
I think it's many things. You know, some things are hidden in plain sight. sometimes people, I mean, maybe they don't see any value in that. I mean, we do have competitors in store. We do have people that do make homemade biscuits and they supply them. But I think for me, I was just wanting to make sure that the only way we can get volume and grow this business is us becoming like focused on this thing and selling it in bulk. I think also the experience coming from BP of like pushing volumes and you know, with the commodity inspired me to push this, or inspired the family actually to push this. So we want to be the owners of a homemade biscuit, like an alternative to a baker's maybe, or an alternative to your rusks. The homemade biscuit, it's our baby. We'll be known for that. If you think about a homemade biscuit, just think about us. We just wanted to give consumers that nostalgic feeling, you know, I'm a keke, black people, I'm a keke, even actually all races, I'm a keke, you know.
But who is
part
actually
of-
the customer? I mean, how does the product present itself? Who
Yeah.
buys it? How, like, and where can people get it?
Yeah, so the nice thing is anybody can eat a biscuit. How nice. I think this one time you asked me, we were at a conference, you guys, you grilled us actually, we had to pitch. And you asked us, what do we want to be? Like, I said, I want to be like a Coca-Cola of biscuits, you know. So anybody can eat our biscuits, young and old, male, female, rich, poor, Lokshin, wherever you are, corporate, it's a biscuit, it's food. So I think the question you were asking is, what do we do and where do we sell these products? So we distribute to various supermarkets. And we also now, I mean, we're in some select Pick and Pays, select Spar stores. I mentioned earlier that BP also came on board. So BP is revamping their sites, the BP Expresses. So we're also a supplier over there. We sell them via our website. We also got a stall or a kiosk in Tembisa, you know.
Congratulations
thank
on that.
you for that, because I had to pitch for that. And we also have another avenue, which is reseller option as well. You know, for people that just want to make an extra income, you know, they can buy in bulk,
And
get
then
a
they
discount.
on-sell them for
Then
weddings and funerals and stuff.
Exactly. Or if you've got a mini bakery, you know, like manufacturing costs and overheads, sometimes you just want to keep them down. So if you just buy from us, you just buy and sell.
So that leads me to this question.
Yeah.
So I've got a check.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to sign some cash over.
Yeah.
So if I could sign you any amount of money, how much would it be and what would you use it for?
Right now, I just know that I need about 9 bar.
Mm-hmm.
So the 9 bar is to expand the business, because the business case is clear. It's needed, because wherever we go and present our story to the stores, they actually do buy our products, right? So the 9 bar will be for business expansion. How so? Needing to make sure that we get a bigger warehouse, so that we can be able to distribute our biscuits nationally first. Making sure we invest in compliance, safety and compliance. That's paramount, especially if you're producing something where people are consuming, it's people's lives. So investing a whole lot more in that. Making sure we invest in logistics as well, making sure that our IT systems are on par, making sure that our HR systems as well are on par. All of that requires money, big money, but I already have like a business case. I already have worked the numbers. The only thing that I'm waiting for is just to make sure that somebody listens and understands where I'm going.
I'm so super proud. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we obviously have a number of guests here.
Yeah.
And you can tell, you know, the Wakandans, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
like
Yeah,
you didn't
know,
even
yeah, I
you didn't
love
even
that.
blink when I said how much. You were like,
You know.
9 million, and this is what I'm super impressive.
more,
and
even
and
more,
and I
yeah.
think if anybody is watching, listening,
Yeah.
if you're running a business and you can't say that like that
Yeah.
in less than a minute,
Yeah.
you have a problem.
Yeah.
It's something that you really need to have it waxed.
Yes.
And I applaud you for that. So, yeah, I mean, I think I'll definitely be signing that 9 bar.
Yeah.
Obviously, we would have to interrogate it, but nonetheless,
Yeah.
I think it's clear to me that the only challenge you're having now is the capital that's required to scale?
It's the capital. I should have mentioned the brand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want a brand that's like, oh, Siyazama type of brand, you know, like, oh, shame, oh, they're black. You know, I don't want that at all.
ESD.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm tired of those things. Not to sound arrogant or anything like that. I want to compete on a global scale. Like, I want to compete with the likes of Coca-Cola, you know, the likes
What's
of
stopping
Apple.
you?
Literally that. It's the capital that's stopping, and the team as well. I don't mind investing in a team that's actually going to come in and buy into my story and be able to expand this. I need people that are smarter than me. I need people that are more like focused than me as well. I've got the vision, and I need to be able to sell this. I think I can be able to do that, but once we see the numbers, we can be able to go on the ground and be able to actually expand this. But the most important is the brand. Just making sure we crystallize that. What is a Conzas brand? What does it look like? What does it taste like? When you see it, can you recognize it? You know, your Batus of this world, your Porsche M's of this world, your Coca-Colas, your Apples. I want to compete with those. Not necessarily compete, but I want to actually emulate those types of businesses. You know, just go out there and be bold and be big and make sure that our story is clear to anybody that maybe might be confused. But the most important is to make sure that the quality of the product, we never compromise on that. You know, so yeah, for me, that's where I'm at.
It's crystal clear.
Thank you.
If you look at your journey to date,
Yeah.
right, it's been interesting ups, downs, middles. What is one of the things like you would have never thought you would learn? Like it's something that just was like, oh, okay, you didn't see, and I know you're very crystal in everything, but
Yeah.
this one was like, sure, I didn't expect or didn't see or
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's two things, not even one. For me is you cannot cheat yourself. You cannot lie to yourself. If you like, especially with an entrepreneur, you know that you have to do something. If you don't do it today, no one is going to come and say, hey, where's this thing? You know, one thing I learned was to take myself serious, is to make sure that whatever I promise to myself, I deliver on myself, because I'm going to disappoint myself. Because the result is either I'm going to waste time or I'm going to lose money, right? So it's just making sure that I boss myself. There's no boss that can come and say,
I
where's
boss
that report?
myself. That should be
boss
a t-shirt.
It. You know what I mean?
I boss myself.
Just boss myself.
I love that.
Rhulani, you know that you are supposed to do your numbers on Sage. You did not do your numbers on Sage. The work is piling up and you're going to feff around, and you know that once you start feffing around, you make bad decisions. And that obviously pushes me to be more confident. You know, the imposter syndrome never really leaves, but you just make sure that you always box yourself with that imposter syndrome.
Can I just interject there?
Yeah.
I heard Venus Williams say it best.
Yeah.
She says, discipline is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, what are you talking about? She says, if you rock up and you do what you're supposed to do all the time, and it's painful, it's like going to gym, but you consistently do it, and that discipline, you keep that discipline.
Yeah.
It frees you because you're not always thinking, oh, I missed, oh, I must. Or
you know, literally, like if I do not create, and sometimes I think I was scared of like predictability of life. You know, like when you plan your week on Sundays, for example, I know that I have to get the paper. I have to make sure by a certain time I've planned my next 2 weeks. You know what I mean? So that I know that on Friday at 12 p.m. I've got a specific meeting that I need to attend, meaning I need to prepare for that. So if you don't do that, you don't discipline yourself, you know that you're going to pay for it one way or the other. And that has pushed me to be more and more confident. And then the other thing is, I always thought like I'm a Mrs. Nice lady, always smiling, always laughing at, things, and like being nice and sweet. It doesn't help in business. You have to be a shark. You have to be serious about yourself. And it taught me to also be able to fire. He told me to fire quickly and hire slowly. Right? I never forgot that. I was pushed to actually do that. Firing someone is not nice, or disciplining somebody is not nice at all. But for people to take you seriously, especially as a lady, you have to make sure that people understand that if you do not perform, you're not part of the clique. I don't need people that are going to waste my time and my money. And I had to learn that, the hard way. Not to scare somebody or anybody like that, but like if you come into my space, you need to make sure that you need to take yourself serious. Yeah.
Awesome. How are we doing? I'm hearing whispering here. Huh? Oh, okay.
Nice.
You know, I just heard the other day, like, that the three core things in running a business is a great story,
Yeah.
a great team, and then the evidence. And I think you've touched all of those, right? So it's very clear what your story is. We've just been speaking about the team now. And the evidence is your growth. You're starting to see all those net results.
Yeah.
Is there anything else like you think is a pillar, that's something that you think you could add to that list that is a requirement for successful business?
Yeah, I think it's important for an entrepreneur. Unfortunately, you would think that when you have a team, you have less work. That's where you need to really up the ante. You have to be more of a motivator. You know, you have to make sure you inspire, because something that I discovered as well, you know, when sometimes you go to a funeral and you eat the food at a funeral, the next day you're not feeling so lekker.
That's why I don't eat the food.
Oh, God. What did I eat? But you know you had something there. But then when you go sometimes to a wedding, or when you eat something that you thoroughly enjoy, it doesn't make you sick.
Huh.
I realized energy is key, right? If you're making food and you are not okay, that food, the result is not going to be nice as well. You know, maybe when you're growing up, maybe sometimes your mom is not in a good mood. The food would be like, hey, you know?
Because, you know, and sorry again,
Yeah.
it's like for me, it's, damn, you're touching all the such salient points. For me, it's love. As a chef, I can tell you the secret ingredient in food is love. That's why your mother's food would often taste great, even if the ingredients were
basic.
three. Like, it's because it was made with love.
Yes.
And that's why makakwatile,
Yeah.
you could taste
You
it as
know,
well, right?
Yeah. So for us, what
and
we
love is
do-
energy, I guess.
Love is energy. Energy is currency. If people start tapping into that, I think people will start becoming more conscious about whatever they apply themselves to. I can never sell you passion. I can sell you a product, but I can never really sell passion, but I can make you feel it, right? So if you wake up in the morning, you come into my space, or you come into an environment, you've just had an argument with whoever, I even tell them, don't come to work, because whatever you're going to produce for people is not going to be nice. You know, either the cookie will be burned or something.
How do you manage that? Because I'm sure it's difficult. I mean, you're dealing with humans. They've got different issues, different days.
It's unfortunately, you have to always retrain. You always have to be there and make sure that you do mind people's behaviors. Pull somebody to the side. Today, Nyagbona, you're not all right. What's wrong? Leave, go home, come back tomorrow when you are comfortable. The more you train, the more you have the engagement with the person, the more it starts making sense. I remember like a quick one when I was at BP. The Gulf of Mexico incident happened when I just started. And the company went through a serious change, almost to a point where they were going to be actually bankrupt, you know. But they made us understand. From that incident, we started learning how important safety is. Right up to when you walk up the stairs, make sure that you hold on to the handrail. Whatever you do, make sure you report. If there's a potential incident, if there's a mishap, report it. We started learning and getting into the culture of being safe to a point where even when I left, I still adopted those. So it's all about making sure that it's a continuous rhythm, continuous reminder. If you don't manage yourself and manage your energy, then unfortunately this is the result. And guess what happens? They take that to their homes as well, and they start improving their lives through that. So the work of an entrepreneur is not only to make money. You actually need to be like a motivational speaker almost. You need to make people believe in something that they cannot see. you need to always make sure that you inspire and motivate.
But it's exhausting.
It is. And we need outlets. My outlet is journaling. My outlet is going to the gym. We mentioned the gym. The gym is the most hardest thing that you can do. But for me, I always say, like, I mean, sorry to anybody out there. I don't want to piss anybody off. But somebody who's in great shape, it just tells me that you're somebody who's disciplined. Because you cannot buy that.
It's like when we recruit, and we mostly look at interns, but it's typically people who've gone to university and stuff. And for me, it's not actually about university.
Yeah.
Because we have to train you for everything, right?
Yeah.
The fact that you went to university, to me, tells me you know how to start and finish something.
Yes.
That's all.
Discipline, right?
Discipline, right? Because we all, when you've been through that process, you know how hard it is to start and finish that. Yeah. And the same I would apply to, for example, gym, right? It's like, especially in winter. It's proper rough.
It's raining, you're like, oh gosh, please.
I mean, one more day, like, you know.
But once you feel the result, once you feel strong, once you feel fit, once you see, I mean, for me, gym helps me even plan my meals. It helps me plan my day because I know I have to go to the gym at a certain point because there's a class that I don't want to miss. Previously, I used to just say, I'm just going to do a couple of things at the gym. But now I actually go on to classes because classes push me as well. The gym also has unlocked so much in my psyche as well. Once you can discipline yourself with that one element, you can discipline yourself with everything else as well. So entrepreneurship, actually, I feel it forces you to become a better person, because also once you're depressed, the result will show in your business.
And things like gym help with endorphins and so forth, right?
Yes.
Another interesting thing, I've been hearing interesting things lately, is that people that don't do things that are scary, like physically scary, like going to climb a high mountain or something that's physically, or bungee, but something that is physiologically scary.
Yes.
And what I was listening to this guy when he was saying it is that the thing is, if you don't do things that are physiologically scary, like something where your heartbeat just you're proper scared, right?
Yeah. They're raising.
Yeah. Is that if you don't do that, you'll be scared of everything. Because you don't have a calibration of like,
I can push myself,
because everything like, Mr. D delivered late. That's like, that's your level of
your threshold. Your threshold of pain.
Yes,
your threshold of pain. You know, like there's a boxer. I just forget his name. But like his coach actually, what happens? Like if he loses a tournament or a fight, he tases him. Like this guy actually asked for it, like taser me to make sure that I can never
that's extreme, but yes, I get it. I get the point.
But once you start with something as small as that, or once you start pushing yourself to have a difficult conversation with somebody, or pushing yourself to say, you know what, there's no way today I'm going to be early no matter what, or let me just make sure at least, I can be bold enough and stand in front of a crowd and ask a question. Once you start pushing yourself, I guarantee you'll be better. And I don't think you'll ever get there, to be honest.
At best, but you'll get better.
But you get better.
It's like that muscle memory, even with gym. Yes. Like the first couple of days is painful, right? Like maybe the whole week you can't walk.
2 weeks.
You're laughing like,
Why did I stop?
And after a while,
yes.
So the same would apply, right, to everything else. Is that if you put in the discipline and the work, your body, your mind will adapt to. The
result will come. I think for me as well, it's been 5 years for me in this journey. There's one time where it will click. You also need to be a little bit patient with yourself. Sometimes we listen to people, they'll be like, in 2 years I was making 2 million, you know what I mean? And you put pressure on yourself. Any small little thing that you do will result in something, some way, somehow. There's a point where you'll be like, okay, I can actually do this. When month end comes, the anxiety, it never leaves us, because you know how it is.
I know how it is.
Pay people and pay employees, but just start getting used to it. Like, no, and then if I klangani, what can I do about it? And I cannot blame anybody. So it pushes. I don't know how to explain it, but I think people can get it. And I think you can even feel the passion that I have. I wasn't like this. Even when I met you, I wasn't like this. But like I think obviously those mentorship sessions, the conversations, sometimes you cautioning me to say, hey, we better look out for this. They help. The books that we read, they help.
But you still have to make your own mistakes, right?
You have to. I've made horrible mistakes. Thank goodness I have.
And you rather do them early rather than later.
I mean, I was having a conversation about something else earlier on. I was like, sometimes it's better to learn the hard way early. Earlier on, we spoke about entrepreneurship. I wish also I started earlier, but at least I started as well.
The one thing, though, about early or later is whether you should fail early or later. I think you should fail based on your chops, in terms of if you've got the chops to handle tough times. I think it's better to fail early.
Yes.
The reason for that is that I think sometimes different people, if they fail early, they don't come back. They're like, this entrepreneurship, I saw down. So you need to fail the right amount for your the right temperament.
Yes.
Because I've also seen people who've been very super successful very early on. But you're always going to pay the piper. At some point, someone is going to come, whether now your business is worth multiple millions. But failure comes to us all.
All of us.
It will visit you. Whether la or la mara, you're going to sit.
Humbled.
You'll be
humbled. Yes.
It will humble you.
Yeah.
So I just wish people the right level of humble at the right time, I guess.
Yeah. I think the failures, you are supposed to, maybe we should not even call them failures. It's lessons. Really.
I love that because also, like, if you look at, I was just watching the Olympics, right?
Yes.
Joe, imagine. You are the fastest guy in your country. And then you get to the Olympics, you are number last. Like, I'm now welcoming party at the airport. Number last. Can you imagine?
I know. I mean,
on a global stage.
Yes, like cameras, everybody. We know you for this.
Yo, planes are on your way there. Now you're coming back. At airport. So.
Yes.
And then they go back.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll sulk for 2 days, but then they go back to gym the next day.
Yeah.
And it's as if and that's the entrepreneurial spirit you almost need.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise.
You have to almost be like, I always call it delulu. Like, you have to be delusional. Yeah. You have to be delusional about it. And the bossing yourself, you have to be like, hey, dude, get up. You're not the first one. You're not the last one. Of course, it's not the end of the world. Even if it is the end of the world, there's something that you did. There's something.
For me, it's a 6 a.m. flight. Yeah. I'm sorry. Like, you're like, because I can't sleep.
Flight. Oh, God.
For 4 o'clock, I'm wide open. Like, kabanda. I'm like, I gotta catch it. Really?
Yeah.
Like, really? Do I really need to?
Can I just be carried
and you drive
to the
out,
airport?
you are the only person on the road. Like, who did I?
Lonely. Why did I do this to myself?
It was like, kept selling yourself. Mara, ne? Or you arrive at the Airbnb where you are going at 10 p.m. You open the fridge. There's nothing. You're starving.
How rude. What can I do? You're this big person. Apparently, this
on social media, you look cool. Mara, that time, there's nothing.
It's rough, Miles. It's rough.
And that's the stuff no one tells you.
It's the 31st. It's 23:59. Yeah. The next day is the 1st. You gotta pay some stuff. You gotta have things in order, and like you are lonely, but guess what? The very same issues that you go through, they make you a better person. I know most of the things that we're saying.
Are we better though? Like,
I think the 9 years of me being in corporate, I learned enough. Because I realized something. I was like, I wanted to just get in here so that I can work, be a graduate and everything like that. For me personally, I reached a ceiling in my mind. I was like, is this it? Because we're competing for a role, but not everybody's going to get that role. I cannot end up being like this. I need to find something else, for myself. I need to be in charge. I need to be in control. And it's my personality. I am like that. So for me, I think if I had to compare the two, I'm better off
being this way.
But
it also almost always feels like we glamorize entrepreneurship. And I think we try to debunk some of that stuff now.
Yeah.
I do, though, think not everybody should be an entrepreneur. I think some people should
100%.
remain in corporate, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's their lane, right?
Yeah, we don't want everybody to have these wild dreams or whatever, but also like there's respect in that. There's respect in people who like working in a structured environment. And most of your success actually will come from those people because they know how to follow like a routine. They know how to keep things stable. Because another thing, apparently, entrepreneurs suffer from schizophrenia, ADHD.
Everything.
You're not decisive. You always have
Imposter
5
syndrome,
projects. You know what I mean? 16 projects running at the same
I'm
time.
on 47.
I know you.
I love all of them.
Sometimes we're like, hey, dude, please, we have to like pull you back sometimes.
Yeah.
I remember one of the conversations we had. I was like, no, Miles, man, like maybe like do it like this, you know. You need people like that to
Right.
keep you in check. So everybody has a role, right? From I think is it NASA or is it one of the companies, and even the cleaner, they get asked, what am I doing here? I'm taking people to the moon. That's the most important thing. So everybody has a function. Everybody is important. It's very important for you as well as a visionary to be able to identify those people. I wouldn't want a world where everybody's an entrepreneur. Otherwise, what are we doing here? We're not growing.
Yeah.
Not everybody can do that. You need a captain of the ship, and then we need to just like have people that can come in and join in the movement. So yeah.
On that very, very high note, Rhulani, you and I can chat for days.
I know.
I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
Same.
I think we debunked a number of things.
Yeah.
I think your business is phenomenal. I think your
Thank you.
sister, your mom,
Thank you.
power to you. We just
Yeah.
ended Women's Day.
Yes.
Or Women's Month. So
Yeah.
like power to you and the
Thank
future
you.
generations that are gonna come, and I'm pretty certain that you've inspired a number of people today.
Yeah.
So onwards and
Aw.
upwards.
Thank you so much, Miles. Always, I'll always have a conversation with you because I come out a better person.
Oh, you and me both. So I'm super
Tissues.
grateful. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's all, folks.